NCCS Basketball Regional Host Webinar. My name is John Washoe, and I'll be kind of leading the discussion here. General idea for today is to cover the basics for hosting a regional tournament. So if you have any questions while we're going through, please feel free to type them in to the chat room. And we'll try and keep up with any questions. Otherwise, you will have opportunities at the end of the webinar to be able to ask those questions as well. I'd like to introduce who is here today. Along with myself, we've got Mary Emma from North Carolina State, who will be the tournament director at the national tournament, co-director with myself. Jennifer Rezak from Virginia Tech, who will be co-director of officials at the tournament. David Gaskins, the other co-director of officials from East Carolina University. Kendra Hendry, who is the NIRSA program coordinator and our liaison for basketball to NIRSA. And Valerie McCutcheon, who's the director of national sports programs. Okay. Just the first thing to touch on, everybody by this time should have hopefully been in contact with their tournament liaisons. Each regional basketball tournament and each site has been assigned a regional liaison through the NCCS Basketball Committee. They're a resource for everybody, so if anybody needs any assistance or any help, they are directed to be able to give any assistance that is needed. So please feel free to contact them with any questions, and just keep in touch with them with the progress of your tournament. Obviously, some have been more in touch than others, especially as some are closer to starting than others, but feel free to contact them and be in touch with them. At this time, we're going to switch this over to the officiating side. I'm going to turn it over to David Gaskins and Jennifer Rezak.
Welcome, everybody. I guess we'll start with our past history with this tournament. We've really tried to make this more of a camp atmosphere for those students that are coming. So we have obviously a couple of different ways that student officials can come to attend the tournament. They obviously have winning a bid through one of the regional tournaments, and then we will also have an at-large application process. The at-large application process, it basically depends. The number of officials we will be taking will depend on how many of the regional tournament officials accept their positions that they were allotted from their regional tournament. And then Dave and myself will review the at-large applications based on past history with the tournament, based on past history with regional tournaments, based on experience, both being college for some people, high school for others, and some just intramural experience. So we have tried to spread things out when it comes to recruitment of the at-large officials. That spreading out what I mean by that is, we don't want one school having 8 officials come to the tournament. So, if once we know who has won the regional tournament bids, we will make selections based on some of that information as well. Dave, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, we're not doing any alternates for regional, so if they're in the top 3 and they don't come, then those spots go into the at-large pool, where we'll pull candidates out from there.
Correct. And we also in the past have been welcome and open to tournament coordinators, especially those that were working with the officials, to call and let us know the ability of officials that are coming, and maybe the ability of those that just couldn't get selected because the pool was so great, and that feedback is very welcome, so that we can make sure that we do our best to recruit the best of the best from across the country.
And we'll typically go and gather that type of information by talking with some of the regional officials directors and some of our committee members that may have attended those regionals, so that we're making as informed a decision as possible regarding the officials that are selected for the tournament.
As far as scheduling with the tournament, we pretty much try to give everybody the same amount of games up until the point where we probably get through, I think, almost the semifinals, maybe the quarterfinals of the championship brackets. So everybody is going to have an opportunity to work when they're there. As far as their numbers being a little different than others, it really is strictly based on the advancement throughout the tournament as the teams advance. We do, while we are there, we ask all of our officials committee to rank the ability of officials, and what we mean by that is, is somebody an R official, is somebody a U1, or somebody more of a U2 level. We try to spread those officials out across the tournament and across the games, so that we are putting together a pretty solid crew, but a crew that can also learn from each other. We also, we try not to schedule any officials with people from their own school, but obviously as things progress, that starts to dwindle down. And then we also really try to keep people from having to work back-to-back games, but if that occurs, we make sure that those stay on their same courts.
Yeah, and they're pretty much going to stay no more than 2 games in a row if they do work a back-to-back game, and then they'll have a game off. And we really want them to get experiences working with people from different schools, so that's why we intentionally try not to schedule them with people from their own schools, just because we feel like part of this experience is the opportunity to work with different people from different places and meet new folks. We also try to make sure that they're on a court that has video cameras so they can be videotaped, so the scheduling process can be a little bit involved with just trying to accommodate all of these factors with the scheduling. We do try to equalize the games for the most part until we get to a certain point in the tournament where we're starting to whittle down the number of teams. Then it becomes a little bit more of a strictly merit-based, where we're picking who we feel like are the best people in that particular situation as the games get more competitive.
And the other consideration that we have when we talk about scheduling is we have a broad range of experience on the officials committee. We have officials that strictly work high school. We have officials that work high school and college. We have officials that are working at the pro level. So, those are committee members. So we really try to work people around to get them to different courts with those clinicians so that they can hopefully get a broad range of feedback and be able to take some of that stuff back to their campus. The other thing that we've done in the past is we actually enter all of the feedback from the clinicians into a evaluation format for each official. When they return back to campus, we email that information to them so that they can have something actually documented that tells them the things that they need to work on, the things they're doing well, and how they might be able to advance themselves further. So those are all kind of considerations and things that we do when it comes to the officials. Unless, Dave, do you have anything else to add to that with scheduling?
No, I think we've basically covered most of the scheduling things that we had.
As far as, John, do you want to talk about advancement to nationals based on regionals, or?
Sure, yeah, I can do that. So the way that advancement is going to work, and we'll get into the stipends and that stuff a little bit later, but as they had alluded to, there are 3 spots available for the top 3 officials from each regional, and those are reserved at the national tournament for those spots. So what we'd ask you to do is submit a ranked list of your top 6. Again, as Jen was talking about, that gives just a general idea of how people ranked out at your tournament, but only those top 3 are eligible off the bat for participation in the national tournament. After that, they'll have to submit the at-large bids, so the remainder will be from that process. Only the top 1 official at your tournament will receive the travel stipend, and I'll get into that a little bit more later.
And we already briefly touched on, the process for our selection, but, again, we just really value the feedback from those people that have seen these officials, not only throughout their seasons on campuses, but how well they performed at the regional tournaments as well. I think, unless I don't see any questions, if there's any questions about, the official selection process, I'll be glad to answer those, I guess, later on.
Okay, and continuing on then, I'll take over with the regional basketball tournament, the officials pre-tournament webinar. You should have all received a link for the officials pre-tournament webinar. This was developed by the NCCS, one of the NCCS committees. The intent of this webinar is not to replace the educational sessions at each regional. The intent of the webinar was to help get everybody on the same page prior to coming to each regional, and that way at the regionals you can focus a little bit more on advanced stuff. So if you haven't had a chance to look at the officials webinar, I would encourage you to do that. Please make sure that the director of officials at each regional tournament has seen that, and that they are sending that on to all of the officials that are selected to work each one of the regionals. Again, it'll just help get everybody on the same page, as people at different institutions do tend to have different mechanics, slightly different rules. This is an attempt to streamline that a little bit.
John, can I add one other thing when we're talking
Absolutely.
about officials? I would encourage every official to fill out the application process for at-large. You never know what to expect when you get to a regional tournament, and so for our purposes, as far as Dave and myself, being able to see an actual application, and then if that person actually gets a bid at regionals, that's great. But if not, then they know that they're already kind of in the pool if they're interested in coming to the national. So that's about it.
Okay, continuing on, this is the stuff I kind of mentioned about getting the web link prior to the regional date. And again, just reemphasizing, please make sure that the director of officials go over or send the link to all the officials prior to the regional tournament. Okay. Okay. With the national officials and getting in a little bit with the stipend. At the national tournament, all officials will be paid a $100 stipend for officiating at the tournament. In the past, a lot of times it's been $10 per game. It's just a flat fee of $100 for working the tournament. And so that is all officials working. Again, only the top one official from each regional will receive the travel stipend, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Jen, do you want to talk a little bit about the Thursday night officials training at 5 o'clock?
Yeah, well, we just ask that everybody be there by Thursday at 5 o'clock. The NC State staff has always been wonderful in setting up a dinner for that evening, and then we will have a guest speaker who will come in and provide some hopefully positive resources and things that officials might want to know or talk about at this dinner. So it is always, and it's always a time for us all to kind of get to know each other as well, prior to the tournament beginning. So all of that occurs on Thursday, and then Friday is when we hit the meat and potatoes of basically a whole clinician day of, getting you some presentations, talking to you about, the types of things that you would learn or should learn at a camp and at a tournament. So that's kind of how we map that out.
Okay, not seeing any questions on that. The way the official stipend works for the top one official, it is based on, it's different by region, basically to accommodate for different mileage and how far people are traveling, so that those traveling from in-state and really close by are not getting the same amount from somebody traveling across the country that might need it a little bit more. So each regional does have a slightly different stipend amount for travel for the officials for the top official from their tournament that will be going to nationals. But the maximum that an official will get is $300, and the minimum amount that anybody will get is $100. If you have any specific questions on how that was broken down, I'm happy to share that with you. Probably easiest through email or just calling me individually, but I'm happy to do that. Okay, I think, apologize for jumping around a little bit, but I think unless anybody pops in with any specific questions on rules or officials or any clarifications, I think we'll kind of move on to more specific forms and things for the tournament. Okay. I'm not seeing questions. Okay, so with each one of the regionals, there are a series of forms that hopefully everybody has been getting out to all teams, and in some cases the staff members and officials as well. There are the general waiver forms that need to be filled out. The insurance certificate, hopefully by now you've gotten, and if not, you will be getting from the national office prior to your tournament. Registration forms, the registrar's forms, those should be, on those registrar forms, it should include the seal from your institution. And on the after the last name, there should be a red or a black line drawn underneath that last name to make sure that all players are verified and that they are all academically eligible to participate based on the number of credits that they are verified for taking. Not only does that obviously help make sure that they're eligible for your tournaments, it also assists with those teams that end up going then to nationals, because that same eligibility requirement is obviously it's there as well. So that helps out a lot with taking care of it at the regional level. The code of conduct sheet should not only be done by the participants, but we would ask that the staff and the officials fill that out as well. And then again, the eligibility form. Just going to talk a little bit about eligibility. For the most part, it is all the same. The links for the general eligibility policies are on the NIRSA website. But the only one that's changed recently is that it used to be 6 years of consecutive appearances, and now it's just 6 years of appearances to no longer be eligible. So if they've already appeared in 6 different national championship series tournaments, then they would no longer be eligible. So it used to be 6 consecutive, now it's just 6 years of appearances. If there are any eligibility questions, please pass them on to Valerie at NIRSA, and she'll work with myself and the standards work team to be able to basically find out if those players or that player is going to be eligible to participate with a team within any of the regionals. So if you have any questions over that. But any eligibility issues, please send on to Valerie at NIRSA. The NCCS Assessment Committee has been working really hard to increase feedback from all participants, officials, and staff. So to aid in that, we've got a few things that we'd like to ask each of the regionals to be able to do. On the bottom of this page, you can see a series of links for surveys. You've got the player survey, there's an official survey, and there's a staff survey. We really need your help from each one of the regionals in trying to get these surveys out to all of those parties. With the officials and the staff, we would ask that you have them completed on site. I don't know if it might be possible maybe have a computer or something set up where they can actually do it towards the end of the tournament, but getting their feedback right away and making sure that they're or trying to encourage them strongly to do it would be very, very helpful. All links are available for your review, so you can check them out. And if you do have any site-specific survey questions, please email those questions to Kendra directly, and she'll be able to add those questions onto your site-specific survey, so that if you've got anything that you want to find out about your specific location or your tournament that isn't on there, we can get that information for you. As far as the participant survey, we will get those emailed. That link will be emailed from NIRSA after the event to all participants. But if you can be actively promoting it and encouraging that survey during your tournament so that they know to expect it, that would help out a lot. Okay. Additionally, the NCCS has been working hard with brand management. So with all the regionals, we're asking to kind of streamline some of the stuff with Facebook and Twitter and other social media. I know that some regionals do have their own Twitter accounts they use and own Facebook pages. But if you could encourage people to also include these tags as well as they are posting things from your tournament, so that we can kind of streamline all that, that would be very, very helpful. So using, for example, with Twitter, the hashtag NCCS B-ball, and at NIRSA NCCS, so that pops up within all of NIRSA's feeds as well. That would be greatly appreciated, and just ask that you encourage that with whoever's handling that on your tournaments. Okay, moving on to the host stipends and then the finances. By now, each of the regionals hopefully should have received the $1,500 stipend. If you have not, I'm assuming it's on the way, but I would check then with Valerie at NIRSA. But hopefully you've all received those. Regarding the team and insurance fees, those are due within 10 days after the tournament. If you need any accommodations for that, please contact again probably Kendra or Valerie at NIRSA. But the $90 fee goes towards covering team travel stipends, official stipends, the host stipends kick in there, and then biggest part of it probably is the insurance for the regional tournaments and the operational cost for the nationals. So it's those are kind of the things that those $90 per team fee cover. So just to give you a heads up on kind of what's all involved there and what went into those $90 fee, where that $90 fee goes. Okay, not seeing any other questions. I think we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Mary to talk about the national tournament a little bit.
Thanks, John. Just a reminder, if you go to your webinar control panel, there is a chat section, so at any time, please type questions, and one of the administrators will help to answer that question for you. So at NC State, we're extremely excited to be hosting the National Championships this year. The dates are April 12th through 14th, and that will be held at our Carmichael complex. The goal is to have somewhere between 72 and 84 teams. We'll have 40 to 45 officials and about 50 professional staff from around the country coming in to help us make this tournament a success. So just to talk a little bit about the qualifications for nationals, from the regional tournaments, a men's team and a women's team will qualify. We will have 4 divisions at the national championships: men's intramural, women's intramural, men's club, and women's club. I'm assuming most will have just 2 divisions at the regional tournaments. So it is an open format, and we are encouraging all teams to register before attending their regional tournament so that we have that space reserved. Once they get to Raleigh for the tournament, they will be reimbursed for that payment. If they do attend a regional, the cost of attending nationals is $325. And if they do not attend a regional, they'll have to pay $375. We will also have travel stipends for men's and women's divisions coming in from regional tournaments. Again, just like the officials, it is based on mileage from home to NC State. So it's a minimum of $350 per team with a maximum of $1,500 per team. And then just a little bit about the tournament format real quick. We will have pools of 4. So, you know, obviously we'll have 3 teams from each pool advance. If it is a 3-team pool, then all 3 teams will advance. So each team will receive 2 pool play games, and like I said, the top 3 will advance.
Okay. At this time, just looking really to see if anybody has any questions or needs any clarifications at all. So if you do, this is kind of your opportunity, last chance, I guess, to be able to go ahead and type in any questions that you may have. Otherwise, if we don't hear any, we'll wrap this up. But also know that you can definitely contact myself at jwasho@depaul.edu, and we'll be happy to get any responses to any questions to you. And again, you do have the opportunity with your regional liaisons as well that are great resources for you to be able to answer any questions that you may need. So I'll ask one more time if Jennifer or Mary have anything to add.
Not unless there's questions.
No. Good luck with the regional tournaments, and we hope to see everyone at the Nationals.
Thanks, everybody.